Hey, this is Josh Groban, and you're watching Sessions at AOL.
And so, my love, from my window I can see.
Classical pop singer Josh Groban would have you believe he's just a normal young guy. But most average guys haven't worked with super producer David Foster, performed at the Nobel Peace Prize concert, or made a multi-platinum selling debut album. Josh's new collection, Closer, gives fans a broader look at his talent. He tells us about making the CD, what it was like to perform with Celine Dion, and his unusual relationship with fame.
We had to go into the studio with a clean slate as if it was the first album. And so we did take what was successful from the first album and used the "if it ain't broke, don't fix it" motto and really continue to do what I love to do. But I knew that there was also some things that I needed to try as a second step forward if I was going to be happy putting out a new album. Different world elements I wanted to try. I've always wanted to work with a group called Deep Forest that live in France, and being able to work with Joshua Bell and being able to co-write 3 songs. There were some things that I needed to ignore, sometimes the safe, and venture off into riskier areas. We kind of made a pact early on not to let the success get in the way of making great music.
Sento nell'aria il profumo di te. Piccoli sogni vissuti.
The title Closer came from just a number of different things. What word could represent how I feel about this album and how I feel about how I want the fans to feel about this album? And someone had said to me, you know, well, that's a good question. You know, I feel like you're bringing them closer to you because of you're doing some songwriting, and you know, what could you say? And I said, well, closer. It's a good idea. I feel like I'm closer to where I want to be as a singer. I'm closer to where I want to be as a songwriter. Finally, being able to do some of that, I'm going to be able to be closer to the fans on the tour. And so it just felt like the right word to represent the overall feeling I had as this being a second step in my life.
Wash away the thoughts inside.
My parents love Remember When It Rained. You know, it's always great when, oh, Joshy wrote a song, you know. With my first royalty check, I bought myself a car. This was 3 years ago. I bought myself a Ford Explorer, and I've since upgraded with my second royalty check.
Mi mancherai se te ne vai.
I would say that there's definitely a large amount of normal youth that I'm missing out on, but there's no regrets. I've never been a party guy. I've never been really into the whole LA party scene, so you know, the fact that I've chosen a profession where I need to be really disciplined and be careful and, you know, sometimes stay in and watch a movie rather than go out to a club has been okay. I'm not at the point yet where I feel like I have to lose my anonymity. I have a nice balance of both worlds now. I can, you know, be on stage and sign autographs for fans and then immediately put on a hat and go out to a movie, and there's literally no problem. So it's been okay for now. We'll see.
Vuole soltanto te, per te.
I love theater. I had the bug really early on to be on stage and to be part of a cast and to be a character in a show. Not just, you know, TV or film, but just theater really was my main focus, was to feel, not only be a character, not only be part of a great cast and have that whole experience, but to do it in front of a live audience every night was just something I've always wanted to do. To have the opportunity to do a show like Chess that has had such great cult appeal, it was my first time being able to get up on a Broadway stage and you know, sing my heart out for the Broadway community, and they were just open-armed.
Remember when it rained, in the darkness I remained.
Celine was really kind of one of my first duets ever because it was at rehearsal when I was 17, and you know, I learned right away from her what it's like to be supportive of another singer with you, you know, to be sharing that moment. I was so nervous, and I was so in my own world of please don't mess up, and she kind of took my hand and said, you know, it's going to be okay, and that was amazing to work with her on that level.
Ora per sempre non so come vivrei, e l'allegria.
I'm I'm not single at the moment. I look for like a goofiness, like a great goofy sense of humor. I look for just somebody who's kind, you know? It's so hard to meet people that are genuinely, heartwarmingly good people, you know, and so with no BS and just only the good, you know, the best intentions in mind. So just someone who's really, really nice and has a really good sense of humor. Physically, I don't really have a type.
Josh Groban. Check out his latest, Closer, on Reprise Records.